Hello, 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 and welcome to the Coaxum Report. This is Terry Coaxum, and I am super delighted to be joined by Carla today. Carla is joining us. Carla Dickens is joining us, and she's going to be telling us a little bit about her programming, what she's doing, what she's about, and how she got to the space that she's in right now. I'm super excited. This is a show. This is a follow up to the last show we did. I told her, I said, we got to get you back in here. So, Carla, welcome to the Coaxum
Hi,
Report. Tell us
Terry.
a
So
little
good
bit
to
about
see
what you're
you.
doing these days.
So good to see you. Thanks for having me back. I really enjoyed last time, so
Absolutely.
it's a pleasure to be back talking to you about entrepreneurialism and business and women in business. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely welcome. So, Carla, for those that were not privy to our first show, why don't you tell us a little bit about the being a principal at the insurance company, what that means? I know you're in that space, and there's not a lot of women in that space. And when you entered this space, it really wasn't a lot of women in that space. And so, want you to talk to our listening audience a little bit about being in that insurance field, just what led you there. I want you to definitely tell us about your dad and all of those great things. So we can not just share your testimony, but we can give others that are listening to us today a little bit of a blueprint. But before I do that, for those of you that are joining us today on the marketplace, the Coaxum Report, you can catch us on Roku, you can catch us on Amazon, you can catch us on Fire TV. You can also catch us on Tempo. We're going to rebroadcast on Tempo and WSTX Bloomberg. As you're listening to us now on TV, you can also listen to us simultaneously on the radio. So please download the app at ourtv.network or catch us on any of those outlets. And again, I'm super excited. We got Carla here talking to us about insurance. And first, we want to talk a little bit about the barriers. Carla, talk to us a little bit about how you
Yeah,
got to the space you're in, and just a little bit about some of the barriers that kind of halted you a little bit, but because of them, it also made you stronger.
most definitely. Yes. And so let me just start by saying that like most people in the insurance industry, I kind of landed in it. It wasn't a plan.
Ah,
I was actually in
isn't
advertising.
that ironic though?
I know. Like most people in the industry, though, it's like really, most people don't go to, they don't study insurance.
Uh-huh.
They kind of fall into it unless you're an actuarial or something like that, where you
Right.
really want to get to the science of it. Yeah, I fell into it because my dad started the agency in '96 as
Wow.
a commercial insurance brokerage firm. And so, after about him doing it for about 5 years on his own, he did it prior to that, but then '96 he decided to kind of venture out into his own.
Wow.
And
Okay.
after him being in the industry for about, or being, a entrepreneur for about 5 years, I joined him. So
Wow.
I've been in the industry for a long time, over 20 years, and I've seen a lot. And it is a male dominant industry. So,
Hmm.
the probably the biggest barrier is just being heard and seen and recognized as a woman in the industry, and also
Wow.
a minority woman.
So let me
It's
tell me a little bit about that. I mean, I know it's a barrier. Again, you've been there for over 20 years. What are some of your what's some of your background experience that kind of led you? I mean, one of the things is that you actually had the opportunity to work side by side with your dad. And
Yeah,
so that's a huge plus, especially being in that male dominated space, to have someone to actually kind of walk you through a little bit about how this is always a plus, right? And even then, you still had to face these barriers, being a woman, being a Black woman, being a
yeah.
minority in this space, right? Before that, what did you think you were going to do when you grew up? Before you got to that?
Well, you know what? I thought I was going to be an attorney. And so this is really interesting because insurance, in some ways, is very similar to law.
Yeah.
You have to really pay attention to detail. There's a way of interpreting things that some people say are, gray areas, but you have to have a certain mindset to really understand it. And also the experience of dealing with it over the years has helped me. And then, of course, having my dad as a mentor and my mom, she's worked with us as well.
Oh,
So,
nice.
just having both of them as mentors and just somebody I can bounce things off of from time to time is needed. I suggest that all entrepreneurs have, a team, a person or a team that can help you, that
That's
can
right.
motivate you, a network of people that can kind of help you stay on track.
So
I was
this
fortunate
is
enough to
really
have my
important.
my family, so that was definitely a blessing for me.
So, this is really interesting because I want to go back to a little bit about what you said as insurance being a little like going into law. So, law was your first love. You just knew
It was.
that it was going to be, you're going to be in that space. And then you said you kind of landed here where you are. And I want those that are listening to us to understand, that it's really important when you land in a spot to be ready so you don't have to get ready, right?
That's
So
right.
even though Carla kind of landed there, she landed on her feet. She didn't land on her butt. And so it's
Yeah.
really important to kind of understand that for those of you that are listening. And so you may not start off in the same space that you end up at. And it doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be there, though.
That's
Because
right.
sometimes we have these bright ideas of the things that we want to do. I mean, even me, when I was going to school, I just knew I was going to be a judge, Supreme Court Justice of the United States to be exact, right? So I was very clear on that. And then I had a great opportunity to work with Senator Schumer, and we did the hearings with the chief judge for the Supreme Court, and I was like, "This is what they're doing. I don't think I want to do that." And John Roberts wasn't answering any questions. He was very charismatic, very. I mean, he was that person that you just couldn't keep your eyes on, but answer questions. He didn't do too much of that. So it was really interesting to see the background, the dynamics, and how all that worked. And I was like, "Yeah, no, maybe not."
That
Right.
is interesting. That's so good that you got a chance to actually see that before you went down that path.
Yeah. And so but understanding that I didn't go that way, right? So I came to New York. I just knew that I was going to go to John Jay, and then I was going to go to law school, and then from law school I was going to be a judge. So that was just it. That was the path. And so, but that didn't happen, right? So I came to New York. I went to John Jay, and I went from John Jay to working for several other people, and landed in the DA's office, right? Ran community relations there, left the community relations bureau, went to work for Chuck Schumer, left Chuck, went to work for President Obama, left Obama, and now I'm running my own business, but still doing stuff on the side in the Senate and in city council. But I realized it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but it
Yeah.
was my purpose. It landed me in a spot that I
That's
needed
right.
to be in. And I tell people all the time, my definitive purpose in life is to empower and encourage other people, period. Whatever space that is. So if that was being a judge, it was still empowering and encouraging. I teach at Medgar Evers College. I'm empowering and encouraging. I have contracts with the DOE where I'm in the classrooms and I'm doing programming, empowering and encouraging. So I'm not far from, I am in the exact space I'm supposed to be at. I'm just not a judge, so to speak. So when I think of what you're saying and you're like, I was going to be an attorney, I was going to go into law, and then you landed in insurance, and you realize that skill set, though, prepare you for insurance. So you were paying attention because insurance is like having a contract. It is a contract, right?
It
So
is.
you're looking at these contracts and making sure that they are speaking to your client. And it's
Exactly.
an individual contract. It's not a blanket cookie cutter approach to any specific contract that you come into with your clients. And the good thing, Carla, that I understand, and I understand more because I do a lot of training with entrepreneurs, especially contractors have landed a lot in my space lately.
Mhm.
And I realize they need workers' comp, they need
Oh, yeah.
disability insurance, they need all of these different things. And so with that, right, with that, what they do. Okay, hold on 1 second, please. Give me a second. Show. Go to your show.
I finished the pizza.
Okay, Anthony, give us a break. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Coaxum Report. So, for those of you that were just listening in, it is spring break. And so, I have a 5-year-old that decided that he wanted to be a part of the show today. And so, and he wasn't having any of let's go. So I want to thank my producer for always being ready. So he didn't have to get ready. He's already ready. So thank you so much for putting us on commercial break. So baby Andrew, well, he's no longer baby. Toddler Andrew wanted to say hi to the Coaxum Report. So thank you so much. So when we went on, when we went on break, we were talking with Carla a little bit about places that we land in and how we end up there and the significance of it, but more importantly, how we're able to pivot and to make it that experience that Carla and her family has been able to make being in the insurance business. And you know, the great thing about Carla on today talking to us about insurance is we always everyone needs insurance. Just like you need an attorney, you need a doctor, everyone needs an insurance at some point. It's just understanding that you need insurance. And I think that is the biggest deal to us. And so, Carla, having you on, I was just talking to you about some of my contractors who are now minority owned business and realize they need all of this extra insurance when they go into these fields. And so having an insurance broker on hand is great. So talk to us a little bit about that. We talked about some barriers, and one of the barriers being, of course, being a male dominated space. And so I hope you got your pens out. I hope you're writing down the information, because Carla just gave us some great nuggets on making sure that you have a mentor, making sure that you have the network, making sure that you understand the insurance business, understand the insurance, the contracts that you are helping to create individualized for each of your clients that you're looking to help with whatever work that they're doing. And so I want you to talk now a little bit about some of the best practices and the big ideas, because one of the things about insurance, and I tell people this all the time, when I grew up in South Carolina. I remember the insurance broker used to come to the house, and my grandparents would have their money set aside because this was a specific amount of money that you had. This is an important bill, in my words of my grandmother. And you paid your insurance, and you paid it every month, and you were ready, so you didn't have to get ready, right, in case anything happened to one of your loved ones. And so we've moved away from that kind of thinking. And can I tell you, Carla, GoFundMe is not insurance, right?
No,
crowdfunding is not an insurance product, right? So, you know, and I understand these are sometimes things we don't want to think about, but we can't afford not to think about them. Can you tell us a little bit about why?
Well, I think, you know, it's important for all of us to really kind of prepare for, you know, just make sure that your largest assets are insured. You know, whether that's your business, whether that's your life, or the life of your children. You just want to make sure that there's something in place in the event that there's, you know, an unexpected loss. You want to make sure that your business is taken care of, because that is, for most people, their biggest asset other than your home. And things happen all the time. So I think it's, you know, it's really important to have, like you said, have a doctor, have an attorney, you know, have a mentor, a person that helps you become more motivated. Have an insurance broker who can, you know, really guide you through this process of understanding how to make sure that some of your largest assets are covered. And
so
I
talk to
think
me
a
a
lot of
little bit
times
about what
don't
those
think
largest.
about that.
Talk to me about some of those products and stuff, because the thing I think about, and again, it wasn't until I'm in the minority owned space now where I am helping businesses to become minority owned business nationally as well as domestically, locally, I meant. And I realized there's a lot of other insurances that they need that they wouldn't talk about. So I'll give you an example. A part of my business also includes working in the DOE schools. And so I have martial artists, steel pan, violinists, cheerleaders, DJs in the schools. And so under my insurance, where I am leading programming and stuff like that, I still had to add extra insurance, especially because you're with young people. Exactly. And so this was, and it was expensive. It wasn't a small thing. It was very expensive to add this additional insurance, but I understood the importance of it because I am working with young people, and my trainers are working with young people, and if they are scratching and they're doing all these things, I want to make sure that they're protected. And so those are some of the things that I realized, that even though I hadn't added it in as an expense, it needed to be added in.
Yes, it's very important, especially when you're working with young people or older people, actually, too, elders, to have certain types of insurance in place.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that you have kind of an accident liability in the event that someone has a slip and fall accident while they're, under your care, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. But you also want to make sure that you have what we call abuse and molestation coverage. And it sounds morbid, but it really is, it's a reality that
Mm-hmm.
we all need to be aware of if we're working with younger children, teenagers, young adults, and senior citizens even. It's just something that I think is very important. And it covers you in the event that someone accuses some wrongful doing in that matter.
Right. So
So your
making sure you
legal
have that.
defense is covered. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Making
and
sure you have
that's a huge expense. I mean, for especially for a small business, just the legal defense alone can can
can
put you out of
bankrupt you.
business.
Can bankrupt you. It really can bankrupt.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
So it's important. So those of you that are listening in today, and Carla is here, and she's given us some great nuggets in her business. She has an insurance business, and not only does she have an insurance business, she's in this business for decades, right? And her father before her, and her mom as well, is in this business. So we're talking about a family legacy here, but more importantly, we're talking about how you can stay protected, right? Not just get protected, but stay protected. So we're small business owners. We want to make sure that we're investing in our business, and we have insurances that can protect us, right? It can protect our space. It can protect any, like you said, any slip and falls. If you are training someone and you put a box of your training materials somewhere and somehow they're no longer under the table and someone trips and falls, then you're liable for that. And so making sure that those
Yeah.
insurances in place. We also talked about assuring your top assets, your big assets, yourself, making sure that you're insured, making sure your children are insured, making sure your home is insured. Like, these are all things that are important, especially if you are looking to build wealth, right? So we don't want any one of these incidents to bankrupt you. And in order for you to be ready, so you don't have to get ready, having insurance is really, really important. So Carla, I want to thank you for sharing that with us. So Carla talked about some of the barriers and how she was able to overcome them being in the space. She talked about getting ready. She talked about working with her dad, and her dad being her mentor, and having a network and building her own network, and being able decades later to still be successful in this space. And then she also was beginning to talk to us, and I asked her to talk about some of the best practices, right? One of the biggest things that Carla wants everyone to understand is that insurance in itself is a best practice.
It
It's
is.
a necessity, right? It's not a, by the way, can we get
It's
some?
not an
It's
afterthought.
something that you need.
Exactly.
And so we even talked about it being an afterthought in some situations where GoFundMe or a crowdfunding platform becomes insurance, to take care of a loved one. We don't want you guys to be in that situation. You're small business owners. You're here to build wealth. We want to make sure that your assets, your top assets, your biggest assets are being protected. And so these are some of the things that Carla was just talking to us about. So talk to us a little bit now about some of the best practices. I mean, it's the age of the internet. It's the age of artificial intelligence. It's the age of all of these things, right? So how are we making sure that we get the best protections, right, at the best time for what we need it for? Because there's no cookie cutter approach, and we talked about that early on. Tell me a little bit about the best practices.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're really focused on in the industry right now is, especially for small businesses, is cyber coverage. Because
Ah,
what's happening in the world now, the cyber hackers are focused on small businesses.
wow.
And so a lot of times small businesses feels like, oh, I'm not that big. I don't have that many records. I don't have that much exposure. But if you have a vendor that you're working with, if you have sensitive information about a client, if you keep any records just in terms of banking or, any
So
kind
that's
of sense.
everybody.
Yeah,
That's
that's
everybody.
everybody. We all do that, and it's all on the computer. And what's been happening since the pandemic is these hackers are really focused on small businesses.
Wow.
And they're winning. It's the losses in cybersecurity has been astronomical in the billions. And so one thing I would say to small businesses is protect your information.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you have some kind of cyber coverage, data breach, something in place so that if this does happen to you, you have a company that's going to work with you to resolve these issues, to contact, those who've been affected, if there's a ransom, to help you negotiate. And these are generally, people who've been doing this for a very long time.
Wow.
And so they
And,
know what
it's interesting
know what
because
to say, who they're talking to. They, and so, oftentimes people will try and do it on their own and they get hacked. I mean, they get taken, they basically, the ransomware they want in Bitcoin nowadays. And so that's untraceable. But if you have a policy in place, you have people who are used to dealing with this kind of situation and they can help you. Get your information back and prevent it from happening again, hopefully.
Awesome. So we're going to take a quick break on that note, and we'll be right back to talk a little bit more about some of the best practices and how you can protect your business and yourself from any of this intrusion by any hackers or anything like that, as far as making sure that you're protected. We'll be right back. Thanks for being on the call.
I used to watch BET, MTV, VH1, now I watch Tempo. Soca, Calypso, Reggae Dance, don't stall, better get tuned in to the Tempo. Don't have cable, they got an app. Go to your app store, download that. Whether it's tourism, cuisine, or the social scenes, if it ain't Tempo, it's a rap. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo.
ICABA, ICABA, stands for the International Career and Business Alliance. And basically, it's really about building, activating relationships that grow wealth.
What is ICABA doing? ICABA is putting you in an environment where you can rub shoulders, you can actually talk to wealth creators, to entrepreneurs who may look like you, who may come from circumstances like you, who may come from an environment like your environment. And then once you go ahead and grab that baton, you might say, well, this is possible. This individual over here did it, and now I can do it. So ICABA is raising our level of vision, and they're doing a fantastic.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaw, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaw explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.
Hello, and welcome back. Welcome back to the Coaxum Report. So, no other appearances or, coming in for Tyler Andrew. He's set. Even though he just told me that he needs his own TV show. So, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that's going to lead to, but that made me laugh. So welcome back. Welcome back to the Coaxum Report. For those of you that are just tuning in, you can watch us live on Amazon TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Roku. You can also download the app at ourtv.network. You can watch us. You can also listen to us simultaneously on WSCX Bloomberg, and then we will rebroadcast again on Tempo. So thank you so much for being a Coaxum Report on the Coaxum Report. Today, I have the phenomenal opportunity to speak to Carla Dickens, who's telling us a lot about insurance and why it's important. And so, and Carla has talked to us a little bit about the barriers, being in a male-dominated field, but giving us some great nuggets about making sure that you're going and you're seeking a mentor, that you have a network, that that you have the support that you need to be successful. Carla is the principal of Morton Insurance.
Mouton Insurance.
Mouton Insurance. Yes. Let's make sure we get the insurance right, because we want you to go look for Carla, because as we said, insurance is a necessity. So when you're thinking about insurance, think about Mouton, think
That's
about
right.
Carla Dickens, think about the importance of having your assets protected. And so we just took a quick break, and just before we did that, we started talking about cyber protection. And so these are the things that you don't really traditionally think about. You have a business and you're in business, and you don't think that you're big enough for someone to try to access your information. But Carla just explained to me that everybody actually needs to be protected from any cyber intrusions. And, it's interesting because I don't know about you, but I'm a Verizon customer, and I received something from Verizon. I received something from Optimum. I received something from Amazon. Like, all of these are huge companies, right? And they're saying, hey, we just want to alert you that your information may be somewhere, right? Yeah. But we understand our information is somewhere because we use technology every day to make our purchases. I am an Uber package, person. I'm always sending something via Uber package. So there's a lot of our information is out there in the World Wide Web, as they would speak. And so, as Carla is saying, it's very important to protect that, to think about that being your
And that's whether you're domestic based or international. I think that, if you have exposures in other countries, your risk is even higher.
Right.
And we also, we work with a lot of companies that do, import, export trade shows. They have workers maybe in another country, that kind of thing. And so you want to make sure that your information is protected for international exposure as well. That can be it's a huge gap just in terms of how the internet is monitored in every country, right? It's different.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have that cyber protection in place, at least you can, rest assured that if something does happen, you'll receive some assistance in resolving
Right.
it.
Right. And so I'm encouraging all of you, especially all of our small business owners that are now in a very different space. Like post COVID, I had a lot of business say, I don't need the internet. I have a brick and mortar space, right? I don't need any of these tools or any of these, anyone to deliver any food or any packages or anything for me because folks are going to come into the store. My customers coming into the store, and then COVID happened. Then everything shut down. And then there was the
Everything
importance of updating your website, right? Making sure that the product that you started with 20 years ago is seen differently in a different light, in a different space, and that intranet, so that individuals can come into your cyber store and be able to see that whatever it is and purchase it based on the look. They may not be able to feel it, but they can see a great product and purchase it. And then the other thing was these little handy dandy things, right? Making sure that they're protected because a lot of our information, a lot of us do our business on our phones, right? And if your phone is your small business, then you want to make sure that that's protected. I'm glad you're bringing it up, Carla, because I didn't even think about that. I think about post-COVID and individuals doing things more online, having services like Uber Eats and DoorDash, and Grubhub, right? And then being able to update their websites and have that traffic, come in virtually, as well as foot traffic now that we open back up, and how successful that is. So your marketing campaign is important. A lot of people before COVID told me they didn't need a marketing campaign. And those people were the ones that were calling saying, can you help me with my marketing campaign right after, right? So these are all things that are important. But Carla is also saying, if you are investing in your technology and you're investing in your footprint, you also have to invest in making sure that you're secure and you have insurances and you have these things in place, that any sensitive information that's coming into your space is being protected. And I also say, make sure that you're doing, LifeLock, for those of you who don't understand it, it really helps protect you from a lot of things. But as a small business owner, you may need to put even more assurances in place to make sure.
I would even say that, just the fact that everyone started working remotely.
That's another,
during the pandemic. That actually increases, people being at home, working from their home computers. So, if there is a virus that comes in, and there are some instances where, it's just about clicking a wrong email. Be very careful about that, because that's a easy way for hackers to get in. And it could come from someone who you think is someone right? But it's not actually.
But it's even simpler than that. We don't use checkbooks in the way that we used to. Encourage my clients not to use checkbooks because individuals are able to duplicate your check down to the letter. They look exactly like your check. And it's not until it's in your account that you realize that this whole thing in your account now has to be shut down. And it has to be a whole bunch of different things in place as a result of that. So we don't use them like we used to. We're using Zelle. Again, that's not 100% proof either, right? So you have to make sure whoever you're allowing to go in your account and you're taking things out, again, you're being protected. I dare say I got a check in the mail. I had a gift card. And so the gift card, something happened, and I wrote, and they said they would give me the balance of the gift card would come to me in a check. And so I received the check for the balance of the gift card, and I put the check in my account, and then little money started coming out of my account. I started noticing it, and I realized it was after I deposited that check. that they were
Wow.
able to have access some kind of way to my account. But Chase is one of those banks that's like really
They'll
spot
warn.
on. And
Yeah.
so as soon as they realized something
They'll
was
send you a
going
warning.
awry, they stopped it immediately. And so diverted any great catastrophes. But I had a client that is still old school. He's a contractor. He's still doing business with checks. He wrote a check, and the individual was able to go into his account and write an even bigger check. And thank God that TD Bank was his bank, and they were
Yeah.
like, "This is unusual for you to write a check this big." And so they held
contacted
it. They contacted him and they held the check. And
Right.
he had to close this account. So I'm saying to you, just something as small as that can be a burden for a small business. Because if you had all of your bills coming out, so your Zoom account, it was your your rent, your lease, your whatever coming out of that account that you just had to shut down. Now you have to contact everyone. It's more of an inconvenience in that sense than anything else, but it does protect you from having your assets stolen in that way.
Yes. And it'll also help you resolve the issue so that you'll hopefully prevent it from happening again.
Absolutely.
They'll do some training and, just kind of give you some tips of how to prevent hackers from getting into your system. And so you just have to kind of let everyone that's working with you know what that is, because a lot of times it does come from within. It's just about clicking on something that,
Simple.
or giving some information out to someone who really shouldn't have it. It's very simple now. I mean, people will telemarket you. They'll call you and tell you they have some, amazing
Stakes or
offer.
something, right?
Exactly. And just give us your, last 4 digits of your social and your zip code. And I mean, so yes, just be wary of all of that, and just know that if you do have a cyber policy in place, that they'll help you just kind of understand what not to do. So that
Excellent. So this is one of the best practice. You heard it here on the Coaxum Report. Make sure that you have a cyber policy in place that you can protect one of your biggest assets, which is your business. So that's really, really important.
And it's really pretty affordable.
Yep. So that's really, really good. So talk to us a little bit more about any other of the best practices that you've seen work for our small business. I mean, you've been around for a couple of decades now, so you've seen a lot of things go and come, but our businesses are always looking for nuggets. They're looking for things that kind of help guide them. And now remember, our businesses are not just here in the United States, they're also in the Caribbean and in Asia and around the world. So if there's any other nuggets that you can kind of give as far as best practices, and then we're going to jump into some big ideas, some solutions. What are some of the solutions that you think that having an insurance product can help our small businesses? What we talked about in the beginning, because we talked about the barriers, but I want to talk about a few more best practices, and then I want to jump into solutions. I love to end with solutions.
Yeah, sure. Okay, good. So best practices. I don't know. I think, since I've been in the industry, I've really just tried to focus on a couple of things. Having a group of people around me that are positive.
Yes.
That are really going to be uplifting, that are like-minded in some ways, because I enjoy differences also. I think that's how we learn,
right,
through our differences. But if you can have, a support group of encouragement of other entrepreneurs, just to kind of help you bounce ideas off of, or, just, give you some information on how they feel about maybe a product or a service that you're offering. I heard you mention contractors a couple of times, and I've worked with them over the years. And, one of the things that I've noticed about them sometimes, especially when they're new, is the organization is not always where it should be, just in terms of making sure that you have, your records in place, making sure you have your insurance in place, making sure that you have your workers' comp for your employees, you have your subcontractors, and if they have insurance, have their certificates, because all of this is just going to come back to haunt you if it's not already in place. So just being organized is very key, not just for contractors, but for small businesses And that's, that's a system that, we had in place before I even got there. And I know it's helped me over the last 20 years to just manage and maintain and also grow. Because if you're already organized, you have your accounting information, you're making sure that your taxes are taken care of. You have your payroll stuff. If you have people that you're
Employees,
paying,
right.
yes, all of that is really just about being organized and being able to.
It's okay, a little technical difficulties. It's fine. So we're having a little technical difficulties, and we're going to get right back to Carla. But she was giving us some great nuggets on just being in business in general. So making sure that you have positive people surrounding you, making sure you have like-minded people surrounding you, that you're able to get support and bounce some ideas off. And then she started talking to us about being organized, making sure that you're organized and that your paperwork is in order. Make sure you're doing your taxes. Make sure that if you're doing payroll, if you have workers comp, like any of those things that you need, make sure you have copies of that. If you're a contractor and you need these insurances, make sure that your accounting and all these things are in place as well. And so those were two nuggets that you gave us before technical difficulties. So positive people, being organized. Anything else? So Carla's having some technical difficulties. So she's going to go off and come right back on. But one of the things that I want you to take away from Carla's conversation about having insurance, having Mooten as an insurance partner, and in any insurance that you're looking to get, that it's really important. It's just like having a lawyer. It's just like having an accountant, having insurances in place. We talked a little bit about some of my clients that are either in the programming space with contracts in places like the DOE, and making sure that they have the right insurance for programming in place, right? The other thing that we talked about is we also talked about for our contractors, making sure they have the workers' comp in place, making sure that they have the disability insurance in place, making sure that your records are in place. So these are all the things that Carla kind of put under the umbrella of being organized, keeping your documents in place, make sure you're filing your taxes and your taxes are up to date. So these are all the things that we are saying that will help you be successful. And so I just want to thank you for being a part of the Coaxum Report today. I'm sorry that, we didn't get to hear some last words from Carla, but she gave us a lot of great nuggets that we can hold on to after decades of being in the insurance place. Mooten has been a leader in that space. And so from any of you that are listening, just make sure that we're taking away the fact that we are getting ready. So we're ready, so we don't have to get ready, right? That we're surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals that can help support, encourage us, right? That we can pop ideas off of. And then, of course, to have making sure that we're staying organized and keeping all of our documents in place. And Carla is back. Woo!
Okay.
Yay! So I'm glad. I was wrapping up with some of your nuggets from Mooten and what all the great things that you're doing, and just making sure that those that are listening in today, they're able to walk away with a lot of the great information that you gave today. And so, it's funny how time flies when you're having fun. And so, we're getting ready to jump off, but I want you to leave with us because you started giving us some really good nuggets about positive people and being organized and having all of your documents in place. And so I love to end with solutions. Tell me what you can leave, or just leave a few solutions with our small business owners and big business owners that are listening to us today about what they need to do to stay successful and to survive. I mean, hey, you know, after 5 years in business and your success, that's huge, and you're decades over. So talk to me a little bit about your success and leave us with a few solutions.
Yeah, thank you,
You're
Terry.
welcome.
Really, I've always enjoyed talking to you. This is the second
Thank
time,
you.
and it's just really good to share some information that I've learned over the years and get some feedback from you and your listeners, your viewers. So I think, it's difficult being in business. Um, and we know that it's not
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
easy.
no,
And so I think if you have that mindset going into it and you're determined, and you know that you have a plan and you know this is what you want to do, against all odds, do it.
that's right.
Continue to persevere because you are going to have those difficult times, those difficult moments, where maybe you're not trusting or you're feeling uneasy about an environment, or maybe you've come in contact with some people who may not have your best interest at heart. All of those are learning lessons.
That's right.
And so we grow from that.
That's right.
Don't try not to take it so personal because it is all business, even though business can be personal.
Yes, it can be.
But but
That it
take
can.
it more as a learning experience. What did this teach me?
That's right.
And move from that.
That's
And I
right.
think that's how you get your solutions, because if you listen to that voice, if you listen to that feeling inside of you and you stay true to it and really move in the direction that it's guiding you in, then that's a solution. That's a success.
Nice, nice. So
And
being
you'll
true
come
to
into
yourself.
another situation where maybe something else will happen, and that's another growing experience for you at that time. But just keep going and stay
That's right.
motivated.
So I think it's really important for you to kind of leave us with this as a solution. Be true to yourself and keep moving forward, putting one foot in front of the other one. Because a lot of times as small business owners, we feel like we're in a river in Egypt, we're in a Nile, right? We feel like
Yeah.
we're alone and no one else has ever done it. And it's really important to hear from voices like you, Carla, who's been at Mooten for, a couple of decades, just to say, hey, there are going to be some rocky roads, but you have to be true to yourself and you have to put one foot in front of the other one and move forward. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Make sure that you're keeping your documents in order. Get ready so you don't stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right? So those are all things that are really important, especially not just in the insurance space, but in any aspect of business that we're looking to take on. And even in life, being organized is a huge life lesson, right? Because if you're organized, you have one of the most valuable assets that you can't pay for, and that's time.
That's right. That's right.
If you're organized, you can put your hands on things and not waste your time looking for things 20 and 30 times. And so if you are ready for whatever is next, you'll be able to be successful. So Carla, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the Coaxum Report. And despite our debut from Andrew and our technology issues, we have an amazing show. And I want to thank you for coming back for part 2. I look forward to having our listening audience just reaching out to you so that they can get some of those insurances. Tell us where we can get more information if we want to reach out to you as an insurance broker.
Yes, we're in Washington, D.C., moutonbrokerage.com, MOUTON. Just think of sheep in French, mouton.
Okay.
Mouton Brokerage. We're in Washington, D.C., and we do domestic and international coverages for businesses all around the world.
Awesome. Oh my God, I'm super excited. It's been a phenomenal show today. I definitely welcome you anytime. This is really great. Part 2 is even better than part 1.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that was exciting.
Right?
Absolutely. And I look forward to really kind of sharing this experience with others, especially about the cyber security. I don't think that anyone really thinks about it as being important, but after today's show, hopefully they will. You know, no matter what you're doing, if you are interfacing on the internet, you need to protect yourself and to protect other sensitive information. So I want to thank you so much for being a part of the Coaxum Report, and I hope you continue to have a super amazing day on purpose. Take care and be blessed. Later.